the Stannic Rally Championship stayed at the coast, and the often fickle Western Cape weather played the game when crews from all over South Africa converged on Cape Town for the Stannic Cape Rally. This was round 2 of the National Series, and an important outing for both those who got the season off to a fast start and for those who needed to do some catching up. 7-time champion Serge Damso led the Drivers' Championship after a win on the Stannic Tour Natal, with son Jean-Pierre Damso in 3rd place. Guy Hodgson led the Co-Drivers' Championship, with the Damso-Hodgson combination in the Castrol Toyota Conquest, heavily favoured on home territory.
You know, it was nice to finish the last event after we had the problems and still winning the event, so we were quite lucky there. I just don't know how we're going to approach this event, but we'll soon see by tomorrow morning, by halfway. We should know exactly the pace, how quick it's going to be.
As tension rose before the start, KwaZulu-Natal driver Etienne Lawrence kept everyone entertained with a little practice with a radio-controlled car and was on the receiving end of some light-hearted banter. For the crews waiting for proceedings to get underway, the first leg of the Stannic Cape Rally was going to be short and sharp, with just 4 special stages, 2 of them at the Killarney race circuit. The first of these was a super special stage with 2 cars out at the same time on a mirror image of the course. The super special concept originated in Europe and has proved a huge hit with rally enthusiasts worldwide. Instead of cars starting singly at 1 or 2 minute intervals, the enthusiasts enjoyed the spectacle of head-to-head battles, and rally organisers sweeten the pot by seeding together the top contenders in the various classes. Inverted grids where slower cars start at the front of the field also adds to the action, with super special stages drawing increasingly large crowds at Stannic Championship events. With clear skies and Table Mountain a magnificent backdrop, crews provided the big lunch hour crowd with plenty of entertainment, and there were 1 or 2 close shaves. Pretoria crew Kali van der Merwe and Andre Vermeulen sprang a surprise when they entered the ex-Sarel van der Merwe Daewoo Lanos and proceeded to get themselves a little early wake-up call. The Killarney Super Special was run using the inverted grid system, and with the quicker cars now into the special stage, the action was starting to warm up. And just to keep the pot boiling, there was pre-event drama and controversy surrounding former South African champion Hannes Grobler in the Bridgestone Nissan Sentra. Grobler and co-driver Nick Haddon were originally entered in Class N3, a category for standard cars. At scrutineering, it was discovered the Nissan, an upgraded model only recently available, did not comply with strict Group N rally regulations, and the former champion found himself moved into Class A7, a category for modified rally cars. The Grobler issue was a talking point with some unhappiness among the Class A7 brigade, but the quicker crews were now warming to their task. Class A6 frontrunners Jürgen Fecken and Dave Lukowitz got the adrenaline pumping with a big moment in the Dunair Toyota Conquest, while Etienne Lawrence had forsaken radio-controlled toys for the real thing in the Team Total Toyota Conquest. Paolo Piazzamuzzo and veteran co-driver Richard Leake were hard at work in the Sasol Motorcraft Ford Escort, with the Killarney Super Special combining flat-out sections with some tricky tight stuff. The grand finale to the special stage was the confrontation between the Damso-Hodgson and Havoc-Judd pairings, with Havoc in the factory VW Golf 4, which had undergone a conversion from left-hand to right-hand drive.
Yes, the guys have done an excellent job in changing the car. We obviously feel a lot more comfortable on the side. They've done a lot of other work, they've done some shock absorber settings, and the car feels very, very good. The team feels good, and we're looking for a good fight.
Right onto track.
Havoc and Judd drew first blood by winning the Killarney special stage, but apart from the anticipated battle between the factory VW and Castrol Toyota crews, there was huge interest in the Group N category. Early championship leaders here were Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper in the Team Total Toyota Corolla.
Yeah, that's correct. We are starting with the pressure on us, but we've done a bit of development on the suspension of the car. And we took it out yesterday testing, and it feels 100% better. I'm really happy with it, and I'm confident we're going to keep it up there.
The Group N category is now highly competitive, with reigning Class N2 drivers champion Skalkberger and Martin Buerta in the Bridgestone Quality Tyres Toyota Corolla among the front runners. KwaZulu-Natal pair Cliff Blackman and Johan Klaassen started as the Class N3 favourites in the Team Total Nissan Sentra. With Western Cape pair Diffie Moreira and Dani de Waal top class N2 contenders in another Toyota Corolla and looking for a good performance on home territory. There was huge interest in the Kali van der Merwe, Andre Vermeulen, Daewoo Lanos, and every prospect of a good Class A6 fight between Damso Jr. and Aries, and arch rivals Fecken and Lukowitz.
Hogan's going to be much more awake now, and I think he's going to be going right from the beginning. But I don't want to be too far behind him. I just want to be, my times must be close to his times.
After all the toing and froing over which category they would contest, it didn't take the effervescent Krobler and Hadden long to throw a cat among the Class A7 pigeons. A former South African rally and off-road champion and the reigning Group N champion, Krobler is hugely popular and hugely talented. One of the crews up against Krobler and Hadden were Class A7 champions Chad van der Walt and Cindy Harding. Their recipe for success is based on reliability. That was spoiled when they dropped out of the opening event of the season with terminal engine problems.
Yeah, we were unfortunate in Natal to blow up the motor, but I mean, you can't always win. If a mechanical problem sort of let you down, you must just rectify that, and we've built a new motor and the car feels good, so we are now confident to continue and hope to improve and catch up on the point situation.
An in-car camera glimpse of Skalkberger and Martin Botha stranded in thick sand, and by contrast, Paolo Piazzamuzzo and Richard Leek had built up a good head of steam, with the crew hoping to avoid pitfalls that cropped up on the Stannic Tour Natal.
Definitely. I made an error on the last rally, understeered off the road. It was a costly mistake, and I'm hoping this rally to really bring it home in a podium finish. We've done some changes to the car, and I'm hoping it'll work for us.
And now further proof that interaction between driver and co-driver is a prerequisite for success in rallying.
104, keep left, into hairpin right, keep left, hairpin right, yet, tight. Slightly left, and sweep left between the fence and through a gate.
1997 champions Jan Habak and Douglas Judd have been rallying together for years. But in the Castrol Toyota Conquest, there was a new combination in Serge Damso and Guy Hodgson. And it got off to a good start with the pair winning the Stannic Tour Natal. There was an early exit for Chris de Witt and Alec Harris, and early problems for Kali van der Merwe and Andre Vermeulen, who were in the process of going through a huge learning curve in the ex-factory Daewoo Lanos, campaigned last year by rally legend Sarel van der Merwe.
It was a completely different car. I mean, just the driving specs is also completely different. Sometimes when I use my arse on a rear wheel, I can't use it on a front wheel. It feels slower for me, but actually it's intense, very faster. The other thing is, I mean, it's old Sarel's car, and I'm not big Sarel, I'm small van der Merwe, but I'm still going to try, I promise you. I must still learn it. Every stage is still a learning stage, and we see how it's going further on the rally.
Van der Merwe was soon plagued with a problem that was nothing new to his famous namesake last season. A lower control arm broke, and that meant some hectic activity for a service crew more accustomed to working on the aging but hugely reliable Nissan Skyline, campaigned by Van der Merwe and Vermeulen over the years. Special Stage 3 with the Group N battle, now minus Skalkberger and Martin Botha, wide open. Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper won the category and Class N2 on the Stannic Tour Natal, while there were new kids on the block in Cobus Roos and Neil Fourie in a privately entered Toyota Corolla. Roos is the son of former factory driver Koos, and like Fecken and Damso, who both come from rally families, is a chip off the old block. Roos and Fourie were immediately in the thick of the fight, along with Cliff Blackman and Johan Klaassen, who didn't have to worry about Krobler and Hadden in Class N3. Diffie Moreira and Dani de Waal were also in the thick of the Group N fight in another Toyota Corolla, with local knowledge a plus factor for the Western Cape pair. An interesting scenario had also developed in Class A7, where KwaZulu-Natal pair Tony Ball and Marty Olivier in the Bulwer Park VW Golf were being chased by Hannes Krobler and Nick Hadden. In what is basically a standard car, Krobler and Hadden were starting to prove to be something of an embarrassment to the A7 establishment. Where the Class A6 battle was concerned, Jean-Pierre Damso and Pierre Aries in the Team Total Toyota Conquest had got off to a flyer. They were putting daylight between themselves and Jürgen Fecken and Dave Lukowitz, while at the front of the field, Habak and Judd dropped 17 seconds to Damso and Hodgson on Stage 2. The VW crew then let it all hang out on special stage 3.
He left. 90 right and then left. 90 right.
A blistering stage saw Havoc and Judd pull back 22 seconds on Damso and Hodgson, with the two factory crews opening a sizable gap on the rest of the field. While Father Serge battled for the lead, son Jean-Pierre and Pierre Aris had taken a firm grip on Class A6, with a fired-up Damso Jr. not keen on a repeat of the Stannic Tour Natal, where only 2 seconds separated the team total pair and Fecken and Lukowitz at the finish.
No, well, we've had a couple of good stages now. We don't want to have it as close as the last rally. We want to, if we're going to win our class, I want to win by a reasonable margin. So we really pushed hard now in the beginning, like I said before. And we've got one more now today, and then we'll see to attack tomorrow. We'll see what times are like this evening.
The final special stage of the day was another super special back at the Killarney race circuit, with the organisers again coming up with a start order that pitted strength against strength. Apart from some interesting personal duels that had developed throughout the field, matters were tight at the top in both the Group A and Group N classes. Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper led Class N2 in the team total Toyota Corolla, but at the start of the final stage, they were only 17 seconds ahead of Cobus Ruis and Neil Ferree. Eastern Cape crew Hayes Klein and Johan Barnard were lying 5th in Class A7 and going along steadily. Cliff Blackman and Johan Klaassen were leading Class N3, and chasing after the overall Group N leaders, Diffie Moreira and Donny de Waal, who were up into the top 10. Tony Ball and Marty Olivier in the Bulwer Park VW Golf were still part of the huge scrap going on at the top of the Class A7, with Pretoria crew Barry Hrobbeler and Mike Burrows also involved in the team total VW Golf. Apart from leading Class A6, young Jean-Pierre Damso and Pierre Aris had moved into 4th overall in a tremendous performance. Equally impressive were Hannes Hrobbeler and Nick Haddon in the total Bridgestone Nissan Sentra, although they were to end the day just 1 second clear of Tony Ball and Marty Olivier at the top of Class A7. Etienne Lawrence and Robert Paisley in the team total Toyota Conquest, running in Class A8, didn't have the happiest of days and were to end up 5th overall, while Paolo Piazzamuzzo and Richard Leake were in 3rd place with the Sasol Motorcraft Ford Escort, already around a minute down on the leaders, with a huge crowd savouring a final fling between Havoc and Judd and Damso and Hodgson. The excitement generated by head-to-head confrontations on mirror image super special stages was graphically illustrated by the grandstand finish between Havoc and Judd and Damso and Hodgson. The two crews had a crowd of national race day proportions on their feet as they raced each other to the flying finish. And if you think that was close, how about this clash between Michael and Ruzenka Weinhardt in an Opel Kadett and Nico Higgs and Menno Havelaar in a Toyota Conquest. At the overnight halt, just 9 seconds separated Havoc and Judd and Damso and Hodgson at the top of the leaderboard. A terrific showing from the younger Damso and Aris in 4th, a great Class A7 battle, and Group N leaders Moreira and de Waal were into the top 10. An early morning start on day 2, Table Mountain as majestic as ever, and while some crews were in cheerful mood at the Parc Fermé, there was last-minute adjustments for others. As far as tactics were concerned, Jürgen Fecken and Dave Lukowitz had a simple recipe.
Well, the plan for today is to chase, chase and chase. We're going to catch up the time. We've got a lot of people behind us also chasing us. We're looking for a great day of racing today, and we're definitely going to go for him. We're going to have to take a lot of time. There are a lot of stages, a lot of long stages today, and we feel at the time there's enough distance in the stages to be able to catch him, and we're definitely going to give him a good dice.
On the menu, 9 special stages in the Swartland before heading back to Cape Town for a final fling at Killarney. Also on the menu, the appetizing thought of a classic final day fight to the finish between South Africa's top crews and VW factory pair Jan Havoc and Doug Judd, who were well aware of the pressure situation.
Yeah, we'll have to go into maximum attack and keep the pressure on the rest of the guys and see that we can have an absolutely clean run. There's really no other option at this stage.
On the corresponding event last year, Havoc and Judd ended up just 4 seconds behind Serge Damso and Vito Bonafide, but hopes of a similar battle royal were soon dashed. The Damso-Hodgson Castrol Toyota Conquest was cruising through the first special stage of the day with the right front wheel flapping around. A suspension control arm had broken, and that was to cost the team around 2 minutes and any realistic hopes of victory. The 2 minutes lost on special stage 5 also dropped Damso and Hodgson behind Paolo Piazzamuso and Richard Leake in the Sasol Motorcraft Ford Escort, which started the day 48 seconds behind the factory Castrol Toyota Conquest. The early drama also allowed team total pair Lawrence and Paisley to close in.
Our strategy is to stay to try and get third, back from Paolo. Yanni and Serge are in their own race basically, and I'm going to just try and get our third place. That is our strategy for the year, and well, the same for this event as well.
An interesting scenario was unfolding, and behind the leaders there was also plenty of action. True to their word, Jürgen Fecken and Dave Lukovic were on an early morning charge, and behind them, attention was focused on the intriguing Class A7 battle, where a few noses were put out of joint. Hannes Schrobber and Nick Hatton started the day with a 1-second lead over Tony Ball and Marty Olivier in the Bulwer Park VW Golf. And only 10 seconds behind them were reigning class champions Chad van der Walt and Cindy Harding.
It's a bit embarrassing whether he was N3 or A7 to let that car be ahead of me. I mean, I've got a decent motor car and I should be ahead of him, and that's all there is to it. So I'm not worrying. I'm not letting that sort of stuff worry me. Just get on with the job. We've got a whole day ahead of us.
Ball and Olivier also didn't get the sort of start to the day they would have liked, and in losing 13 seconds to Chad van der Walt and Cindy Harding dropped back to third in the Class A7 fight. While the Class A7 drama was unfolding, Toyota service crew were battling against time to get the Damso Hodgson car back into fighting trim.
It happened on a piece of straight road, but I think the damage took already from the testing we did a couple of days ago, and that's where that knock actually took from. I remember that time, that's the time we really knocked something.
Toyota service crew were not the only technicians hard at work. They were also running repairs on the Piazzamuso Leake Ford Escort, lying second overall, but these were not all that serious. And the hard luck focus then shifted back to Dun Air Toyota Conquest pair Jürgen Fecken and Dave Lukovic. After moving ahead of overnight Class A6 leaders Jean-Pierre Damso and Pierre Aris on the previous special stage, the Dun Air car picked up a puncture on stage 6, and Fecken and Lukovic lost 90 seconds to their arch rivals. Matters were also warming up in the Group N category, where local favourites Diffie Moreira and Donny Duval were starting to come under attack from all directions. The Moreira-Duval Toyota Corolla led the Group N category and Class N2 overnight, but were being chased by KwaZulu-Natal pair Cliff Blackman and Johan Klaassen, who had a tight hold on Class N3 in the team Total Nissan Sentra. While Blackman and Klaassen were steaming along, Pretoria crew Barry Hobler and Mike Burrows were having a frustrating time of it. They won Class A7 on the Stannic Tour Natal, but this time around were beset by niggly problems and had lost touch with Hobler and company. A terrific battle had also broken out between Class N2 contenders Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper, with only seconds now separating the team Total Toyota Corolla and the privately entered Corolla in the hands of Quibus Roos and Neil Faree. The puncture on stage 6 was a severe setback for Jürgen Fecken and Dave Lukovic, but they were better off than Group N leaders Diffie Moreira and Donny Duval. Matters came to an abrupt halt for them when they rolled on special stage 7 after hitting a notorious rock that has claimed many a victim over the years. Jan Habak and Doug Judd number among the rock's victims from previous years, but this time around they managed to avoid the obstacle and were cruising along at the front of the field with a comfortable lead. It meant they could control the pace, conserve the car, and let everyone else do the chasing. Paolo Piazzamuso and Richard Leake were among those doing that chasing, but the pair had other problems to think about. Their second place was coming under attack from Serge Damso and Guy Hodgson, with the Castrol Toyota crew closing in on the Sasol Ford Escort. While Damso Senior was on a charge, problems for Damso Junior. After hitting a cattle grid, the team Total Toyota Conquest was perched on a sandbank, and the harassed crew lost around 20 minutes, and out of the window went hopes of another Class A6 win and top 10 finish. Back into the Class A6 lead went Fecken and Lukovic in a battle that underlined the ups and downs of national championship rallying. Barry Hobler and Mike Burrows were gradually making up time in the team Total VW Golf, and the demise of Moreira and Duval put Quibus Roos and Neil Faree into the lead in Class N2 in the privately entered Toyota Corolla.
The car is going very, very well. I think we're leading the class now. Dean just had a flat wheel, and I think Diffie rolled. So yeah, I think we're in front of the class now.
The talented Roos and Faree were making their national debut in Class N2, and it was an impressive performance, with the pair in striking distance of overall Group N and Class N3 leaders Cliff Blackman and Johan Klaassen. Soldiering along in midfield were newcomer Henny Lowe in his first national outing, and Brian Hoskins, well on their way to a top 20 finish. And Dirk Badenhorst and Robert Oxenham, who were fourth in Class A6 in an aging VW Golf. Badenhorst and Oxenham cruised past the Pierre Huss and Thilo van Westenhagen Golf of slightly more recent vintage, which had fallen by the wayside, while young Richard Bem and Dani Rousseau were third in Class N2. Bem and Rousseau were on their way to winning the Top Car Challenge and embroiled in a terrific battle with the trot. Those wanting to make up time, the 30-kilometre-long Special Stage 9 was a golden opportunity to do just that. Rally leaders Jan Habak and Doug Judd dropped 39 seconds to Serge Damso and Guy Hodgson in the Castrol Toyota, but a little ill feeling was starting to creep into proceedings. The Dunair Toyota Conquest of Jürgen Fecken and Dave Lukowitz was now firmly ensconced at the front of Class A6, with the pair now trying to catch the total Bridgestone Nissan Centre of Class A7 leaders Hannes Hrobler and Nick Hadden. The cheerful Hrobler and Hadden were now in control of Class A7, with reigning champions Chart van der Walt and Cindy Harding running second, and gradually easing clear of Tony Ball and Marty Olivier. Apart from leading Class N3, Cliff Blackman and Johan Klaassen now had the overall lead in the Group N category, but the team total Nissan pair were under a little pressure from Cobus Roos and Neil Ferree, who were still within striking distance of the KwaZulu-Natal pair. Roos and Ferree were still edging away from team total pair Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper in Class N2. Big crowds at all the special stages were enjoying plenty of spectacular rallying, from little personal duels going on throughout the field. There were any number of these intriguing battles going on, and they kept the enthusiasts entertained. Rally leaders Jan Habak and Doug Judd still had matters firmly under control at the front of the field, but on a slightly less cheerful note, the 1997 national champions were not at all happy with the factory VW crew, construed as a little gamesmanship that was creeping into proceedings.
Yeah, you know, that's a fairly comfortable lead, but we've now noticed on two stages where we watch the Toyota come through the flying finish, and we get our stopwatch time, and then it doesn't correspond with the times that they've got on their record. So at this stage we're not happy with what's going on, and I think it needs to be investigated.
Unhappiness in the VW camp, but Hannes Hrobler was still smiling.
Yeah, it's still a long way. I mean, we have to get to the end to finish in this place, but we're glad, and we're going to try and keep it there and try and win the class.
Special Stage 11 was the last of the long competition sections on the Stannic Cape Rally, with rain, fade or a late mechanical problem the only issues that stood between Habak and Judd and victory. Damso and Hodgson took a sizable chunk of time out of the Habak-Judd lead, but the 2 minutes lost at the start of the day, along with a 30-second lateness penalty, were too much of a handicap for the Castrol Toyota crew. Etienne Lawrence and Robert Paisley had not had the easiest of passages, but the team total crew were in a safe 4th place. Tony Ball and Marty Olivier had gradually dropped down to 8th overall and 3rd in Class A7. The Bulwer Park VW crew were now nearly a minute behind Chart van der Walt and Cindy Harding, with the Reeks VW Golf crew starting to show the consistency that has seen them dominate the class in recent seasons. Running repairs for Group N leaders Cliff Blackman and Johan Klaassen, who picked up a puncture on Stage 11, with Class A6 leaders Fecken and Lukowitz still trying to catch Hrobler and Hadden.
Yeah, unfortunately JP made a mistake, so he went off. But we're still having quite a ding-dong with Hannes. We were trying to catch him on the previous stage. We took 42 seconds off him, but I think he got the message, and on this stage I only managed to take 1 off him.
The penultimate stage in the streets of Malmesbury, with Habak and Judd now strolling to victory.
90 left. T right. 90 left.
The Piazza Muso Leek Sasol Ford Escort had dropped back to 3rd place, with the pair overtaken by the Damso Hodgson Castrol Toyota Conquest, with a gap of around 2 minutes between the two cars. The big danger for crews on the street spectator special stages is contact with pavements and curbs, but for the crowds it's exciting and spectacular stuff. Lurking in the crowd that turned out in Malmesbury was a rally legend and his protege, multiple champions Sarel van der Merwe and Enzo Kuhn, both looking a little pensive and a little envious as they watched the other crews enjoying themselves. The final fling back at the Killarney racetrack with Hannes Grobler and Nick Hadden putting the finishing touches to a Class A7 win that will go down in rally folklore. In a dramatic finish in the Group N category, a late 20-second penalty for clocking in early at a time control saw Cliff Blackman and Johan Klaassen finish just 12 seconds behind a delighted Cobus Roos and Neil Ferree, with Class N1 honours going to the tiny team total Opel Corsa of Alan Worms and Brendan Noonan. Late problems for Adrian Karth and Rikus Ferree, but the good news was that they managed to last out the distance. A convincing enough victory margin for Jan Habak and Douglas Judd, and a 1-all score in wins between VW and Toyota after 2 rounds of the Stannic Rally Championship. A good result for Piazzamuso and Leek, a fairy tale ending for Group N winners Roos and Ferree, but after losing out by just 4 seconds to Serge Damso and Vito Bonafide in 1998, it was a satisfying victory for Habak and Judd.
I think we were fairly in control of what was happening. You know, at the end of the event, all you need is 1 second, and I think a minute is more than enough.
There was a huge cheer from the crowd for popular Hannes Grobler and hometown man Nick Hadden, with a remarkable performance, giving them the win in Class A7. On the podium in Class A6, Jürgen Fecken and Dave Lukowitz, and a big celebration for Group N and Class N2 winners Cobus Roos and Neil Ferree. Cliff Blackman and Johan Klaassen took Class N3 honours, just missing out on the overall win in the Group N category, and a happy moment for Class N1 victors Alan Worms and Brendan Noonan. Remember to keep in touch